Hey guys, Andrew Barry here for Granite Supplements. I'm here with my friend and client, Shauna Suter. She is 23 weeks out from the Tampa Pro, and we're gonna put her through a crazy hard back workout today. Throughout the workout, we're gonna be utilizing supplements like Recovery, highly branched cyclic dextrin, and Granite creatine. So come along for the journey. All right guys, we're gonna start off with the single arm lat pull down. And what we're trying to do is really target the lat, especially the lower lat with this exercise. It's gonna give us that width. For her in a figure shot, the main pose is your front shot, your front and back shot. So you gotta show that V taper with a nice wide base coming down to a narrow waist. So that's what we're working on to start out. All right guys, so the keys to this exercise, she's gonna drop this shoulder down and keep her scapula locked. We don't wanna see her shoulder blade and her scapula coming up and down. Loosen that up a second. Oh. We don't wanna see this action where the arm's coming up and down. We wanna keep that locked so all the emphasis is placed on the lat. She's driving her elbow right down to her hip, okay? So with this exercise, we're gonna be doing 3 warm-ups and then 2 working sets. And the way I do my warm-ups, usually it's gonna be something like the first 2 sets are gonna be about 10 reps a piece. And then I'm gonna do a back off of like maybe 5 reps or so, because I wanna save my energy, save my strength. I just wanna make sure I'm getting a good neural connection between my brain and my exercising muscles. So that's what we're doing right now. This will be like a 5 or 6 rep warm-up set. And then we're gonna do 2 sets of failure after this. All right guys, this is our second working set. First set, we got somewhere in the 8 to 10 rep range to failure. I'm gonna lighten the load just a little bit. Some people call it a back off set. I wanna call it a form set. I really wanna make sure I'm following the cues that I gave you before, really keep my shoulder locked, really driving that elbow properly, keeping the right elbow path. So that's what we're doing. We're cleaning the reps up, making sure there's a lot more time under tension, just really making it hurt. All right, just to like recap, we did 3 warm-up sets, 2 working sets. The first set was a little bit heavier in that 7 to 10 rep range. The second set was a little bit more of a back off set, getting higher in the 11, 12 rep range. Again, minding all the P's and Q's I gave you before, keeping that shoulder down, chest up, driving that elbow in the natural path, and not letting yourself yank and use momentum to get that weight moving. It's a great first exercise. All right guys, so our second exercise today, we're staying with that single arm theme, doing single arm cable rows. This was actually a favorite of John Meadows. When me and John Meadows would train together, we would end up doing this exercise all the time. It's not a very sexy, always moving a ton of weight exercise because it's more of a precision, putting the load right where it matters. And what I'm talking about is, if you're doing it correctly, you're gonna feel like a pinch in your lower lat as you drive and hold the weight back. So again, it's not like a heavy dumbbell row or a heavy barbell row where you're banging plates. It's much more of a, I guess, it's like sending a scalpel in instead of using a sledgehammer, that kind of thing, okay? So we're probably gonna be doing 3 working sets on here. We'll probably stick with 10 to 12 reps and we'll just pyramid up and wait until we get to a top set. Probably start off with like 1 warm-up set. When you're training single arm exercises, always make a point of emphasis to do your weaker arm first, or the arm that you don't have a better connection with. Some might say it's minuscule, but you've had that rest before you go into that exercise. Give yourself that as much rest and as much recovery for that arm that's a little bit weaker. And in my case, my right side, I have a lot of nerve damage through my neck, which makes it hard for me to connect. So I make sure I always do it first. And I also don't let myself go crazy on my left side if I fail at like 9 or 10 reps on this side, even though I could do 12 or 13 on this side. I try to keep it even because I don't want this side to get too far advanced. So we did a warm-up set, which was actually a pretty good first set. So I think I'm gonna count it. All right guys, got 1 more set left. Gonna empty the tank. Try to get as many reps as possible, going a little heavier than we did last time, but again, as always, keeping the form true. So that's what we're working on. All right, guys, so there you have it. We just finished up 3 sets on this one. We meant to come over and do a warm-up set, but both of us, with our first set we did, we're like, hey, this feels like a real working set. And on that note, I want to talk about warm-ups in general. On your first exercise you're doing for the day, you're probably going to need a good 3 or 4 warm-up exercises before you get right into it. And then as you progress on the workout, your muscles are already warmed, you're a little bit lubricated, the movement pattern's already set. You really maybe need to do just 1 warm-up set. In some cases like this one, you don't even need to do anything, you just get right into the movement pattern. Of course, the safety and difficulty of the exercise comes into account. I wouldn't expect someone maybe doing a squat exercise as their second movement to just jump right into their working weight. But just keep in mind, you don't need to do as many warm-up sets because you're just taxing your energy systems and you're gonna pull back from what you're gonna be able to do later on in the workout, okay? All right, guys, third exercise of the back workout. We're gonna be doing the prime seated row using the pronated overhand grip. So we're gonna start this movement with her retracting her shoulder blades back and then bending at the elbow, getting into the row. So you're gonna be targeting this area first, and then you're gonna continue to get the lats and the rhomboids as you continue the motion. So that's what we're doing with this one today, okay? So we're gonna do a drop set now. I'd like to sprinkle in intensifiers, whether it be a drop set, static holds, partial reps, whatever, you know. In this case today, we just did 1 top set, finishing out around 9 to 12 reps for a heavy one. Now we're gonna go with that same weight, or we're gonna start with that same weight and do a drop set. So we're gonna try to do 10, 10, and 10. I'm gonna try to go 5 plates, 4 plates, and 3 plates. And we're gonna make Shauna go 3 plates, 2 plates, 2.5 plates, okay? Go pulling.
Go.
Yep. That one was hard. You run out of oxygen before you run out of strength, which means I should be doing more cardio. 2 scoops of recovery, 2 scoops of Granite, highly branched cyclic dextrin, 2 scoops of creatine, 10 grams total. What I do is I drink half by the time I get about halfway through the workout, and then I put the other rest of the powder in there and I drink the rest. Reason being, the amount of fluid I can fit in this container. This only holds about 600 ml. When you're using a highly branched cyclic dextrin product, a high molecular weight carbohydrate, you need a lot of water. And that's to make sure the solution is isotonic to your bloodstream. So you're not causing mixed signals to your brain and your gut saying, are we digesting a meal right now or are we having a workout? We want our brain to stay in workout mode, make sure the nutrition goes right into our stomach, enters right into the bloodstream, requires no digestion possible, gets to the exercising tissue so you can have a great workout. All right, guys, we're moving on to our 4th exercise today. We're gonna stick with another row. We're going with a high row, keeping the elbows high. There's 2 different variations of how you can do this in this cable setup, right? If you see this one, it's got 2 independent arms, or you could go on that side and just hitch 1 straight bar up to it. I usually do the straight arm ones with the single bar. I've been having a lot of fun with that unilateral movement, so I'm gonna stick with these today. Now, we're gonna get a little bit of rear delts with this, which is great because we're gonna do some rear delts today as well. And that's kind of an age-old question, right? Do you train your rear delts with the back? Do you train your rear delts with your shoulders? Like, what do you train them with? And I don't think there's a wrong answer to that. Just we've been training them primarily with our back lately. So this is a great kind of exercise that's gonna get your upper back and your rear delts. So we'll probably hit 3 sets of the 10 to 15 rep range. All right, so again, Shauna's got her chest up. She's not too slouched forward. She's not leaning back too far. She's driving her elbows up and back, not letting those elbows come down. And that's gonna get, again, some rear delt action, this whole upper middle part of your back. It's a great exercise. You get a nice flex and squeeze on it. All right, we're gonna go hit some lower back now. For this one, we're both a little too old to be doing deadlifts. So we're gonna be doing some hyperextensions, which we'll probably incorporate some bands on that one to add a little extra resistance, but it's a safe way to train your lower back and get a nice pump back there. So we'll be heading that way. So we're gonna finish up our back workout doing some hyperextensions. We're gonna do one set without any added resistance, and then we're gonna add in some bands for some added resistance. I believe the banded hypers is an exercise that our company's founder, Granite Nutrition, John Meadows, made popular through his YouTube videos over the years. You know, a lot of people would just typically add a dumbbell weight or a barbell weight. John was real big about using bands as a safe way to add resistance without adding more strain or opening yourself up to injury. So you'll see how we do that in just a minute. But right now, she's just gonna do a warm-up set with just body weight, about 15 reps. So right now we're targeting the lower back. The back straps are running right here. What we're doing is we're trying to de-emphasize and take the glutes and the hamstrings out of it, put it all on the lower back. And again, this is a safe way to add load. Cool thing about bands is it gets harder the more you separate them. So what might feel like 30 pounds of resistance when the bands are this spread apart is like 60 pounds of resistance as you get further away from the band. So it's a great way to add load. Here's a great tip too. You know, when you get a really big lower back pump from doing an exercise like this, or you're doing, you know, some deadlifts, immediately go over and train your abs, because it forces the blood to go from your lower back into that abdominal region, and it loosens up that pressure. So if you're like, get done doing a heavy set of deadlifts or a couple sets of this, and you're like, oh man, just don't feel comfortable, go do a couple sets of abs. You probably need to do it anyway. Been avoiding it. It'll help sequester that blood forward, get it out of that lower back region so you can walk around again. All right, guys, last exercise for the day. We're gonna target the rear delts on this one. But this one, you know, we're not necessarily trying to go for weight or like some super heavy, you know, drop set or anything. I think volume on the rear delts and deltoids in general is the way to go. So we're gonna do 5 sets of 20 reps, keeping our rest period short. I'm gonna go, she's gonna go, I'm gonna go, she's gonna go. Just back and forth, building up a really nice pump in that rear delt. Very important note, for men, the rear delts is the last thing that should leave the room. So key on this exercise, keep your elbows locked. Think about getting your pinkies as far away from you as possible, okay? Think about spreading them as far out as you can. Don't worry about overextending. Right here is about a good point that you should be going to, and you just want to keep that tension, that fire going. Again, this isn't like a max exercise, you know, max weight type exercise where you're shooting for like a 6 to 8 rep max. You're really just trying to get a lot of blood in there, force that expansion. And a great thing about a rear delt pump is once you get one, it kind of stays with you for the whole rest of the day. So that's the goal for us today. So you check out Shauna here, her elbows are nice and locked. There you go. She's spreading out her hands as far and as wide as they can go. A lot of people will mess up on this and they start using their traps. So what you want to do is try to get used to relaxing your traps as much as possible. A lot of times you can do that by forcing your head, your chin backwards. Because you think about, when you think about muscles, when are they at their weakest? When they're, let's use the bicep for example, when they're fully extended or when they're fully contracted. Muscles are typically strongest when they're at the midpoint, right? So if you can think about either fully contracting or fully extending your traps, you're gonna be able to take them out and put the tension on the rear delts. All right, guys, thanks for joining us for the workout today. We did 5 exercises for back and 1 for rear delt. We started off with the single arm pull down on the Watson cable machine. We moved on to single arm cable rows, again on the Watson machine. From there, we went to the prime row with the pronated grip. From then, we also moved on to another cable row. And then we finished up with some lower back hyperextensions with some band for extra resistance. And then we moved on to rear delts and we did 5 sets of a cable rear delt pull apart. It was a great workout. Shauna, how do you feel?
I feel great.
Yeah?
Yep.
Feel swole?
Definitely feel swole.
You ready to take on Tampa?
Hell yes.
All right. So you heard it here first. 23 weeks out from the Tampa Pro in the figure division. She's going to be making her pro debut. We'll have many more workouts to share for you down the road. Thanks for following us.